happy Wednesday. It's me, Beth Napleton, and I am going to start going live for like a very short amount of time on Wednesdays, just sharing kind of what's on my mind about leadership and what I'm thinking about, and kind of like a midweek treat. And I have to tell you, what is on my mind today is Succession. Perhaps like much of America, perhaps I'm a pop culture cliche, but I had started watching the show in its first maybe I got halfway through the second season. I mean, this is like 2017. And I found it too dark and too disturbing to really keep going. It like didn't really seem to be a great place to be spending my free time and energy. But as the fourth season came out this year, I started seeing articles about like the fashion and the locale and some of the plot twists. And I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of interested again, and maybe I'll follow it like just by reading the after effects, because I like being in like the cultural zeitgeist. And then I decided to just watch an episode last Friday from season 2 where I left off, just to see about it. And I have watched like 20 episodes since then. I was up last night till midnight, which is way past my normal bedtime. I watched it this weekend. I like had it on in the room with my kids, which there's like F-bombs flying everywhere. And so I am thinking a lot about Succession, and there is so much to say. I like feel like I really want to have like a guest psychotherapist here to talk about all the internal family system and dynamic issues, and discuss how like the problems of the parents in Caroline and Logan really like manifest in the children. I mean, like the whole loony cake situation from Connor's wedding is like, I mean, its own rabbit hole, super interesting, but that's not what I'm an expert on. And so we're going to leave all of those pieces aside. And I am going to share with you just this little tidbit this morning, which is perhaps the world's most obvious thought on Succession, but I feel like I have to say it as a leadership coach and consultant, which is this show is not how you should plan succession at your organization. I mean, like understatement of the year, perhaps. I'm sure nobody's like, really, Beth? I thought like infighting and family drama and all this. But in all honesty, and there's a lot we could dissect about Waystar Royco, and part of what I'm really remembering every time I watch this is I am, if this is corporate America, I am extremely glad I've stayed on the nonprofit and mission-driven part of it. But like a few obvious points is that, you know, you just like look at it. I just can't help but watch and think about like when I think about systemic bias and when I think about systems of oppression and how this is literally feeding that beast of it, right? And how even in a world where you really prefer an internal candidate to succeed you, which by the way is like highly recommended and often the best situation. And even in a world where you want a family member to take over, which like adds in another layer and I think is complicated. But you know, that let's like acknowledge that sometimes happens, you know, like where is Logan and the whiteboard saying, like, here is where our company is now, and here's where I think it's going to be in the next 5 years. And what kind of leader, what traits do we need in a leader to get us from where we are now to where we want to be? Do we need a visionary? Do we need a workhorse? Do we need someone with a lot of political intuition? Do we need someone who can, who has like a really good sense for the content and the entertainment? And like, he is doing none of that. I mean, he's also then like doing all these things, right? Like plotting children against each other and like playing off each other and like tapping into their deep need for his affection and love, which like they have arguably never gotten. And the only way they get attention is through him. So there's like a lot there, but I just feel like it has to be said. So that is what I'm here to say. I also happen to be doing a masterclass on May 2nd, next Tuesday, about leadership, developing an internal bench, right? And making sure that you have the systems in place so that when you are, I don't know, maybe an 80-year-old CEO of a large mission-driven organization, you aren't just sitting there grasping around and thinking, okay, what do I do? I mean, and there's so much there. Like Logan doesn't want to stop working, which I have seen episode 3. So I understand that like at some point, none of us have a choice in this, but that's something to think about. So if you want to register for my website, I'm sure I'll be sharing Succession thoughts because I'm super immersed in it. I'm also going to have a celebrity strengths Saturday series throughout May, focusing on different Succession members and their strengths, my own diagnosis of them. So you can register for that on my page if you're watching on Facebook or LinkedIn, or also at my website is maybe the easiest way. So if you go to bethnapleton.com, there's a pop-up on the masterclass on the homepage. So that's all I have to say. I'm like 2-3 episodes away from being totally caught up, and then I'll be with the rest of the world in the seasons. I have no doubt I will reach that goal in the next 36 hours, hopefully not at the expense of too much sleep or my personal life, but it's super interesting, fascinating show, and really appreciate it. So hope you're enjoying it. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. Talk to you later.